Hello, fellow Kenyans. My name is Cyril Kolek, and during the recent years, I've not been participating in political things and just things to do with politics. And due to the recent happenings in our country, I've just made a conscious decision to engage myself more in political stuff. I've come to realize that politics affects, I've always known that politics affects everything, affects how long I live, affects the kind of Medicare I get, affects if I'm going to get a job or not. Politics actually affects everything in our lives. And I actually participated in uh, on the Thursday one and on the Tuesday one last week, and I've actually saw real time what was happening, and it shows that Kenyans are really fed up with the political class flaunting money, some even giving 20 million shillings in harambes, funds that cannot even be traced where they have come from. And this is something that has been happening for a very long time. It's just that people are not courageous enough to come out and show their dissatisfaction. Actually, what I think, this finance bill is just a trigger. It's not even actually the main thing. It's just a trigger to show the kind of frustration that is in Kenyans' hearts. Political people, politicians have been coming every 5 years asking for a vote, begging us, lying to us that they are going to do this, they are going to do that, they are going to do this, they are going to do that, and then when the actual time comes to deliver, you just see people driving heavy vehicles worth 30-40 million, with the tenders flying around, being given to their relatives, to their brothers, to their cousins, to their aunts. Actually, in Kenya, even in the counties, let me talk about the counties. I've ever applied for a tender in the county, and specifically Siaya County, and I'm telling you, I had no chance, because even before you go and apply for a tender, there are already people who know people in the county that are going to get, and they're also going to get kickbacks from these people. Maybe a tender is worth, let's take a small tender of 5 million shillings. The person awarding the tender is going to get back maybe 500,000 or 1 million shillings. So, us as youths, like, we have been so disadvantaged. You get out of university, you have nothing to start with, you don't have capital, you have nothing. Mostly, maybe if you come from a rich family, you are lucky. But for people who come from middle class, let's say not middle class, like people who come from very humble backgrounds, they have nowhere to start. So this I don't want to call it an uprising, these demonstrations that are happening even today in our country, it's good. It's actually very good. With a budget of I think they wanted to put it at 4.2 trillion, and then they reduced it to around, I think it's 3.6 trillion, if I'm not wrong. I'm very sure almost, let me say, a third of that money goes to opulence and corruption. Maybe around 1 trillion shillings. Imagine 1 trillion shillings goes to corruption. And this is something that has been known. People are just assuming. People are fed up. They are thinking, what can we do? and then the Gen Zs and the millennials, of which I'm part of, came. And this is something that even at least we have caught attention of the president. And I'll urge all of the Gen Zs and all the millennials to come aboard, and all Kenyans Generation X, the baby boomers who have been suffering in silence. Come, get on board in this X space and talk to the president and tell him what you want, because we are the people who put him in that privileged position. Let us tell him what we actually want, the kind of things we want in the government, the kind of changes we want in the government, the kind of independent institutions we want in the government. That is on Thursday. That is like today is on Tuesday. That is in 2 days or 3, because they are said it may be on Thursday or Friday. So this is something very, very nice. I'm very, very happy, and this is something that should be kept in practice in countries like France. In this developed countries, you see demonstrations daily. Actually, there is a square in which people go and demonstrate daily on various issues: corruption, hikes on certain commodities and certain things. And this is something that we want to see more in our country. And I'm actually I'm actually very proud to be a Kenyan. I'm actually going to show you videos of how I participated in the demonstrations on last week on Tuesday, last week on Tuesday, last week but on Thursday and Tuesday, and then the Tuesday one, which havoc politicians. I think some politicians infiltrated peaceful Gen Z and millennial demonstrations, and Parliament was banned, unfortunately, which should not have happened. And let me tell our people, especially us young people, demonstrations which have worked all over the world are peaceful. Look at India, led by Mahatma Gandhi. Look at a country during the civil rights movements in the 60s and in the 50s. Look at South Africa. Although South Africa is, I'll talk about South Africa in a different video. So I'm really happy, and this is something that should continue, and should continue fighting for our rights as young people, because we have been ignored for a very long time. Even during the start of this protest, some MPs were running their mouth aimlessly, like somebody like Kimani Chungwa. I think what they were trying to do is like divide us along what is called, in Swahili it's called tabaka, like high class and middle class and the poor. They wanted the poor to feel like, to feel like these other rich people, and they're just demonstrating for nothing. It didn't work. You can't divide us. You can't divide us along money, I don't know, class lines. Like you people have divided yourselves among tribal lines. That can't happen to us, young people. And I want to urge young people, when registrations, what is it called? When IBC is reconstituted, and then they start registering people, like how can I put it? Voter registrations begin. Let us go there. Let us take our voter's card and keep it safely, and our ID. For those people who have not taken their ID, maybe they were born in, I think, from by 2027, people born in 2009, no, let me say 2008, will have gotten their ID. Will be so many. We can actually effect change in our country. Let us put leaders of integrity. Let us even talk to our mothers and fathers to vote in leaders not according to our tribal lines, but leaders who actually can effect change in our country. And this is something that this message should go to our Gen Zs and our Generation X, Alpha, who are young. I think they were born 2009 or something. We should actually see change in our country. Corruption has actually is actually finishing our country now. You see, a minister, maybe he was worth around 60 million when he was getting in. Not even 2 years has finished, but he has a watch worth 30 million shillings. That's why people are angry. That's why people are angry, actually. Power, we Kenyans have to realize we have actually donated power to these people. I have donated, another person has donated, another person has donated, another person has donated. Article 1 of the Constitution gives us power. And I thank the drafters of the Constitution 2010, what they do. The fellows like Akina Otende Amolo and Feruz Norji, who participated in making this Constitution. They actually gave us power. And we have not actually taken it. We are the last two weeks have seen us actually exercising the power that we have as a people, and I'm very, very happy. And I promise, this is my first video on YouTube. I've decided to start a YouTube channel and just be discussing politics on my free time, and talk to our young people, talk to young people like me, and tell them to be more engaging in political stuff. Because the reason why Kenya is it as it is because in 1963, I think in 1961, 62, 63, most Kenyans were ignorant. Many people had not gone to school. So what happened is the elite, people who had gone to England, I don't want to mention names here, people who had actually gone to England, people who had actually read maybe up to class standard 4 or up to class 8 during that time, and Form 4, the O levels, grabbed land, grabbed money, grabbed opportunities. That's why you find some people are super rich in Kenya, because their grandparents and parents did something. Before independence, now nobody had nothing. Maybe chiefs had some little land here and there, and no politician had nothing before 1962. Those are the things we have to actually talk about. There's been no this report. There's a report on land in Kenya. Those are the things I'm actually going to talk about. Tribalism. I'm actually going to talk about them in my podcast. And I'm just going to be inviting my fellow friends, fellow youth, to be joining me to shed light, to talk about, to have a political discourse on these things. And so this is going to be my first my first video on YouTube, and I hope guys come join me, like, subscribe, share, and yeah, thank you.